Hey, this is Yeva. Thanks for joining me on the scrapbook process video. I've got something a little different today. I have 2-page layout and an extra bonus layout that I made with scraps. So I'm starting with 2 pages here, and I have 6 photos that are vertical. And I've pulled out an old collection by Shimelle called True Stories. So since I'm working on a 2-page layout, I try to use as less paper as possible. So I'm going to try to work around this. The blue paper I cut down to a little less than 2 inches. This floral one is about 1 inch. And then I'm going to use a red stripe. I cut about 1/2 inch, if anybody needs measurements. And I'm really happy how I didn't use that much paper. I only used 3 total. And with here, this cream one, I accidentally spilled coffee a while back and it's dried. Half of it's still good, so I'm going to use the half that I can. This paper I cut down to a little more than 2 by 4, and it's going to be tucked under the photos, and you'll see that in a minute. So I'm going to start laying out my page. At the top is going to go blue. And again, I'm just using a strip, so this is a great way to use up your scraps on whether you're making a 2-page layout or just one. I think this is a great way to use up those scraps, and when you have also a lot of photos like I'm using here. I've got 6 of them, but again, this can be just used as a 1-page. I decided to, before I glue down the floral one papers, I'm gonna adhere the photos and that cream paper just so that it's all straight and leveled and centered. I'm going to mark it off and just start gluing down. These photos were taken on a day trip that we did in downtown Seattle. I took my boys, the older boys, and I met up with my mom who took my nephew and niece, and we just decided to be total tourists in our own city and explore, and we did all the touristy things in Seattle. Have you ever been? It's a great place, so much fun. We went in a beautiful summer evening or day. It was cloudy, but that's Washington, but it was really warm and lovely. And we did all the touristy things. The gum wall, we did the Ferris wheel, we went to the big library. And that's going to be the other layout that I made, is going to be when we went to the Ferris wheel. But I'll do that a little bit later at the end. And I'm going to use scraps, so stick around for that. All the scraps that I use here, I'm going to use it for that layout. Here I finally glued everything down, and I'm going to stick the red piece right onto the floral paper and just tuck it under those photos. And you can't even tell that it's, strips. Once it's all done, it just looks like I used the whole piece of paper. Same with that cream color and the blue and everything. So again, don't throw away those strips. A lot of times 2-page layouts can seem a little scary and big and feel overwhelming, but I don't think they should be. I feel like it's almost easier to do a 2-page layout, because you can just fill it up with photos, do a little bit of pretty paper and a little bit of embellishment that ties everything together, and then you're pretty much done. I think that's what I love about 2-page layouts. I end up running out of tape, but once I get that going, back rolling, I'm using Heidi Swap titles. These were made for the mink, but I don't have one. So I'm just using them as is, and they have a really lovely deep teal color. And I'm going to use the Explore for my title, and I'm going to write Explore Seattle. So I decided to use red thick stickers to spell out Seattle. And before I do that, I know I want to tuck something behind the words, so I'm looking through all the embellishments and things, trying to figure out what I can use as embellishments. Sticker book, I know I want to use some of those flowers, and I decided I want some of these coffee cups that I fussy cut around, and I found a few other things here. I found little tiny coffee cups and some like Polaroid pictures. So I'm just going to play around with the arrangement, and it takes me a while. And I realized that there's so much going on with the photos are quite busy and a lot going on and all that floral. Everything's just quite busy. So I keep playing, seeing what I can do as far as embellishments because I really want to tie the two pages together. They're already very similar and they already are good, but I wanted to, have some fun with embellishments. So with these coffee cups, I really like how it looks behind the title. And I got these little labels that I've put around. I figured I'll just put the locations of the places we went in them. And that was by Carpe Diem. One of the collections, I'm not quite sure. So coffee is very Seattle. And we did go to a coffee shop. It's not in the photos, but it's part of the memory for me. And I also like this little paper that's like a film strip. We took lots of photos that day with my mom and the kids. Putting one of those coffee cups on foam so it pops up. And then I'm going to switch the labels because I feel like there's just too much red on the right side. And I'm going to just continue that on this first page with the title. Those big giant coffee cups, which I really love, and that little film strip. And then I'm just going to add Seattle in the red stickers here. I use a ruler. I really like this when I just put the sticker just right on the edge of the ruler. It doesn't stick down to the paper, but I can still move it around. And then you'll see me in a bit stick it all down once I figure out where I like the arrangement. So you can still move it around. It's not permanent. And then these Heidi Swap titles, they're see-through, but I just put some tape on the parts where it's like the thickest. And then I just stick it all down, move it a little bit. I love using the ruler for that trick. I'm taking one last look through the sticker book to see if there's anything else that I want to add, but realized no, that's too much. The last thing I always do is date my pages because I'll forget otherwise. And since it's a 2-page layout, I date both pages. So that's the layout. Now that I have everything out, all my supplies are still out, I have some extra photos from that same trip. I decided to use the leftover scraps to make that last page. And here I'm just taking off the branding strips, and I had an extra page of that cream, which was perfect. No coffee stains on this one, but I'm really happy that I got to use all those pages and connect all those pages because it was the same event on the same day. So I also have this little sticker that's a Ferris wheel, and we don't really go to fairs, so I figured I'll just use that Ferris wheel sticker on the Ferris wheel page. So I'm going to try to include a little bit of everything that I used, like on the other layouts, marking everything down. I was really worried that this layout would look too 4th of July, but I made sure to add that floral paper with the yellow in it, and I think it really ties everything together nicely. So again, I'm using all the scraps, laying everything out, checking twice before I cut anything down, making sure the arrangement's fine. And again, I was worried that it looks too 4th of July, but then I flipped through and remembered I had these stickers that I couldn't believe I still haven't used them. So I made sure to take them out to use them and not forget. Here I'm using my T-square ruler to make sure everything's lined up, and I'm actually going to cut out the back of that cream paper because I figured a lot of it is being covered up and I can still use it on another page. Why not? Even though I have a lot of paper, I can still use it. So I'm going to put everything back, glue everything right correctly, and start committing. I like how this paper, the cream paper, has lines. So I'm actually using lines to make sure everything's straight. And I'm going to kind of play around with these photos, make sure I like it where they are. I was going to overlap the top, the vertical one, over the bottom one, but I end up not because I remembered I wanted to have a little cluster in a corner of embellishments. So I'm going to just get that going. This was in Seattle, the Great Wheel, by the piers. It's a really fun place. The kids haven't gone before and my mom hasn't gone before, so we decided to do it. Some of the kids were cute because they were scared of heights, but once we were there, it was actually a lot of fun and we had a great time. So again, I'm using some of the scraps, cutting it down, carrying it down to the bottom so it looks like one continuous piece, and using my T-square ruler to line it all up. Here I remembered I have those coffee cups and I wanted to include that to connect it to the other pages, but I remembered no, I have my beautiful flowers that I haven't used and I've been saving, so I'm just going to use it. And then I play around with the coffee cup on top because again I do want to include that just like the other page, but I play around with which colors, and I finally found stickers that had enough E's. Oh my goodness, I use E's all the time. There's so many words that have E's and A's and T's and R's. I always run out of those. So it took me a while to find the right stickers. And these are just stickers from American Crafts. These are older ones. And I'm just gonna write out Great Wheel. I'm gonna see if that floral cup would be better to add more of that floral, but I actually end up not using it because it just looked too busy up there in that corner. And I like how that teal color actually connects with that Ferris wheel, because the Ferris wheel has a little bit of teal. So I'm just gonna actually stick with that one, commit, stick it down, and get my title on there. I actually end up adding the little sticker off camera. A little sticker says "the," so it's gonna say "The Great Wheel." And these are old stickers, so a little bit of that sticky part ripped off. So I had to just use some glue it back on. And I'm happy with how that looks. And I'm gonna play around and get the Ferris wheel and flowers glued on. I end up overlapping the photos, and I don't mind that because I'm not covering anything important, so that doesn't bother me. And some foam. I use some foam tape to pop up both of those coffee cups and bring in more of those flowers to tie it all together and make a little triangle around the photos. Draws your eyes into the photos. And one of the last things that I do is I use the little periods from this sticker sheet as little dots and just scatter them around, kind of connect everything together. And of course, the last thing is the date. Can't go a page without a date. I really hope you guys got some inspiration on how to make a 2-page layout and then using the scraps left over to make another extra page. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next time.